prices rally after Russia's energy minister says Saudi Arabia has proposed to cut production by 5%, but Saudi yet to confirm the same.
ICICI Bank's asset quality worsens by more than 33% in the third quarter as bad loans hit a 5-year high. Provisions jump threefold profits, and the bank warns of a similar increase in the next quarter.
Maruti Suzuki disappoints in Q3, profits below estimates, margins shrink due to higher ad spends, but total sales on target.
Bharti Airtel reports third quarter earnings largely in line with expectations. Margins perk up thanks to boost from the Africa business, but voice revenues slide for the 6th straight quarter.
Bhubaneswar leads the race as the government announces the first list of 20 cities that will be developed as smart cities. The top 20 cities will get investments to the tune of 50,000 crore rupees.
RAI has done its due diligence in coming up with the reserve price.
Telecom regulator defends its pricing proposal for 700 MHz band even as telecom companies cry foul. Industry plans to knock on the government's doors.
Delight and despair for the Advani Group. The Supreme Court refuses to halt its Kerala port project, but no relief on expanding the Hazira port in Gujarat.
The favorite car of James Bond in the 1960s, the Ford Mustang, arrives in India, and for the first time the car will come in a right-hand drive.
BlackBerry launches its first Android phone, the Preve, in India. Prices start from just below 63,000 rupees. The price hasn't gone down too well with the market.
It is a bit odd that I am receiving my own book which I have written from Vice President. I used to proudly tell Advani that you are senior to me in age, but I am senior to you in Parliament by 9 months. I had a old habit of writing a page every day in my diary, and which provide, and there are some secrets.
Well, he was seen as Indira Gandhi's right-hand man when she was the Prime Minister. Also has been the Congress's main firefighter during times of turbulence and distress, be it inside Parliament or outside, Ron.
Yes, but now that he's out of the political slugfest as the first citizen of the country, he presumably has a lot of time to pen his memoirs.
Well, this is not just his first book. In fact, this is the second volume. Pranab Mukherjees has come out with the second edition of his memoirs today, titled Turbulent Years, which chronicles some of the most momentous developments in India between 1980 and 1996. And the president was at his candid best at the book launch today, saying very clearly that he's told his daughter that his diaries can be digitized but can never be released because some secrets must be buried with him. I was there at the launch and it was
more of that.
It was fun. It was fun. Well, good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. All of that and more coming up for you, but let's head to the action on Wall Street. Shares there have opened strong. All the major indices are clocking healthy gains as we speak, and all of this thanks to crude prices that have moved on account of comments that have come in from the Russian energy minister. But that's the Dow. It slipped now, so they had started strong. Now the US markets have given up their gains, and that's presumably because we haven't seen that confirmation coming in from Saudi Arabia. That monster rally that we were talking about in the oil markets, which was sparked by Russia's energy minister, who said that Saudi Arabia has agreed to cut production by 5%, but still there is no written agreement confirming the same, and Saudi Arabia is also yet to confirm this. So crude prices have come off those highs. In fact, about 30 minutes ago, Brent was as high as about 7%, and NYMEX had put on about 6% odd, but now they've both given up a lot of those gains on the back of the lack of clarity on whether we are finally going to see that production cut come through or not. But this is going to be a story that we will continue to track. But back home, the January series has drawn to a close on the large street, and it's been disastrous to say the least. The Sensex down a whopping 6.5% for the series. But today it was a different story, a flat close for our markets, falling in line with the global equity markets because of the cautious commentary that came in from the US Fed overnight. India, somewhat resilient today, 24,469, down 22 points. That's the Sensex. The Nifty also ended a choppy session with marginal losses. So don't get fooled by the picture on your screens today. For this series, we've closed down by about 6.5%. But talking about shockers, the big story tonight, ICICI Bank has seen its asset quality worsen by a whopping 33% sequentially. This after a warning from the Reserve Bank to banks over their loan books. Now, with this increase, bad loans for ICICI Bank stand at their highest level in 5 years, and profits and income, though, are in line with expectations. But this is only due to the stake sale in the insurance business. So stripped of that, profits coming in at the lowest in the last 4 years. Ritu joins us now with the details. Ritu, what's led to the sharp rise in bad loans for ICICI Bank?
Well, from the general slowdown in the steel industry witnessed globally, to which ICICI Bank has a huge exposure, and RBI's diktat on early provisioning for bad loans, those are the two key reasons that ICICI Bank management highlighted, which led to such sharp worsening in asset quality. Gross NPAs have deteriorated by 33% sequentially, net NPAs by 47% almost, and provisions have jumped by 200% just from the previous quarter, which really ate into the profits. So if you look at the numbers, gross NPAs are at 4.72, which, as you mentioned, is the highest it's been in the last 5 years, and net NPAs at 2.28% is also very high compared to the previous quarter at 1.65%. So if you look at the fresh slippages, which is the net, which is the gross addition to bad loans in Q3 alone, that is 6,544 crore rupees, and of this, 1,355 crore is from slippages from the restructured book. But interesting to note that 60% of this rise in bad loans in this quarter alone has come because of RBI's diktat on early recognition of bad loans, which it had asked banks to spread over this quarter and the next one. So in this quarter alone, 60% of the provisioning and the rise in NPAs was because of RBI's warning. There was also a sharp spike seen in NPAs because of the stress in both the steel and the power sectors, where the bank says it will continue to see stress, and in the coming quarters as well, the management did guide that there will be a similar spike in provisions and bad loans. So you can expect a very bad fourth quarter as well from ICICI Bank, mainly on these accounts. If you look at the ARC sales, there were none in this quarter. Despite this, there's such a huge rise in NPAs. There's 500 crores worth of refinancing done under 525, which, remember, the analyst community sees as restructured, and 1,600 crore worth under strategic debt restructuring. So the pain in asset quality is clearly not going away anywhere. Here's a word in from the Managing Director and CEO Chanda Kochar on what can be expected in the coming quarter.
Well, as I said, that RBI initiated this discussion with the banks and asked for this early recognition of stress and provisioning over 2 quarters. So on that basis, basically our major addition has been on account of one large steel company. We have added that to the NPA, and more than 60% of the addition in this quarter is actually on account of the discussions with RBI. Of course, there is the balanced set of accounts to be done the next quarter as well.
Well, that's clearly one big worry that's panning out across banks. In fact, the point that has been reiterated by RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan on more than one occasion. Staying with earnings then, to Maruti Suzuki, India's largest car maker. They also disappointed in the second quarter, and this despite the fact that they posted a 27% rise in their profits. In fact, the street was expecting a massive 74% jump. But what spooked investors were primarily the fact that the margins, which contracted to just over 14%. In fact, Sonia Shanar, who's been standing by with all the details, and she'll be doing all the analysis. Sonia, Maruti seems to have hit a speed bump now.
Oh yes, definitely. The numbers are well below street estimates, and you can expect the stock to be under pressure tomorrow. Just to give you the numbers, the revenue growth was fine. It was about a 19% growth that we saw on the top line at 15,000 crores. The big disappointment really came in the margins. The margins have fallen 200 basis points for Maruti and have come in at 14.5%. Just to put it into perspective, for the last 5 to 6 quarters, the margins for Maruti have been around 15.5 to 16%. So it's fallen well below their own range that they've seen for the last 5 to 6 quarters. The profits are well below estimates as well. It's just a 27% growth that we've seen in profitability. The key reasons for the margin fall, one is their other expenses have gone up quite a bit because of the cost that they have to had to incur because of the ad expenses on account of new launches like the Baleno and the Nexa dealership expenses as well. Remember, they have already rolled out Nexa dealerships in 60 cities and they plan to roll out another 45 very soon. The other cost that they had to incur is higher employee costs. Employee costs as a percentage of sales has gone up 30 basis points due to the provisions that they have had to make for the new Employee Bonus Act. And on account of that, on account of these two reasons, the margins were hit quite a bit. Expect the stock to be under pressure tomorrow.
All right, Sonia, thanks very much. We will be watching out for Maruti tomorrow. Remember, the results came in after the markets had closed for the day, and staying with disappointing earnings, Bharti Airtel reported numbers that were largely in line with expectations. The Africa business lifted the margins, but voice revenues are down for the 6th straight quarter. Rima is now standing by with her analysis. Rima, what do you make of the Bharti Airtel numbers?
Well, Bharti's numbers are largely in line with street expectations. Revenue growth of nearly 1%. Margins improved to over 35%, so that's a positive. Profits are lower on a quarter-on-quarter basis to 1,116 crore, but that's impacted by an exceptional loss of 340 crore, which pertains to restructuring activities in a few countries, as well as the network refarming and upgradation costs. If you strip out that exceptional loss, then the profit figure would be in line with consensus expectation. India wireless business meets the street, so 2.4% revenue growth, margins improving to 38.9%. Volume growth comes in at 3% quarter-on-quarter. The disappointing bit is the continued pressure on pricing. So voice pricing is down again, down for the 6th straight quarter. The voice average revenue per user has declined to 192. So that is a stress area for the industry. We saw that in the case of Idea as well. Data volume growth fairly robust, in fact improving. The growth rates improving on a quarter-on-quarter basis, so data realizations too have weakened for the 4th straight quarter. Africa margins are showing you some signs of stabilization, improving to 21.4%, and that will go down pretty well with the street. Net, there's not too much in the earnings to move the stock in either direction. The only worrying bit is the kind of pricing pressure that we've seen across the industry. The positive being that Africa is finally showing you some signs of stabilization.
Thanks for that, Rima. And in fact, it's not just in Africa where Airtel is trying to streamline its operations. In fact, the telecom major has now announced that it will be merging its operations in Bangladesh with Malaysia-based Axiata Telecom, making it the 2nd largest operator in that country. In fact, under the terms of the agreement, Axiata will hold just over 68% stake, while Airtel's stake in that merged entity will be about 25%. The remaining will be with NTT Docomo. The combined entity, in fact, will be called Robi and will have a consumer base of approximately 40 million users.
Well, let's move away from the corporate earnings calendar now and bring you the other big story tonight. The Modi government today released the names of the first 20 smart cities off the list of 99 that it hopes to develop in partnership with states and the private industry. Orissa's capital city, Bhubaneswar, tops the list. Madhya Pradesh has emerged the big winner with 3 cities making the cut. Pranab Mukherjees says the war of words over the selection has already begun, with the opposition crying foul.
Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik will be all smiles, with Bhubaneswar topping the smart city charts, followed by Pune and Jaipur. Amongst the metros, only the NDMC area of Delhi made it to the list, while BJP-ruled Madhya Pradesh is the big winner with 3 cities, Jabalpur, Indore and Bhopal making it to the top 20.
प्रोसेस हमने की थी कंसल्टेशन की, कैसे बनना चाहिए, जो पब्लिक पार्टिसिपेशन था वो इंदौर, भोपाल और जबलपुर तीनों में जबरदस्त था. सारे पहलू और मापदंडों पर हम खरे उतरे, इसकी हमने तैयारी की थी, कोशिश की थी, और उसी का ये परिणाम है.
A total of 50,802 crores will be spent over the next 5 years in these 20 cities, out of which 38,693 crores will be for area development. In all, a total area of 26,735 acres will be developed. Data showed that 18 cities will carry out retrofitting of existing infra, while only 1 has adopted the redevelopment mode. But to implement that smart city program, city municipalities will have to form SPVs, get themselves credit rated and issue municipal bonds.
In order to create sustainable projects, you will have to look at innovative financing methods. You will have to look at a much stronger and more accountable financial architecture, because don't forget that the implementation is going to be done through special purpose vehicles.
It was interesting to note that 7 out of the 11 states from which these 20 cities got selected are being ruled by BJP and its allies. The opposition was quick to react, slamming the selection process. While Congress came out to support Akhilesh Yadav's UP, former J&K CM Omar Abdullah took a dig at the PDP and the BJP for not selecting proposals from J&K. Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu refuted allegations of selective selection.
The entire exercise is, as I told you, even the Urban Development Minister city also is not there at the first instance, not even proposed. If I wanted to be proposed, that would have been proposed automatically in Nellore. It was not proposed because it was not within the parameters alone.
A look at the selection criteria shows that Naidu has a point. Cities were scored on 13 parameters by 3 different panels. The proposals were scored on issues like increase in population, revenue collection, effectiveness in JNURM implementation, audit of accounts, and an online grievance redressal system. But to give another chance to cities that missed out in the first round, the government is willing to accept smart city applications from 23 other states. In New Delhi with Rituparna Bhuyan, Parib Sherwani.
And joining us now to discuss the government's list of 20 cities is the founder of the consulting firm Smart City Council in India, Pratap Padode. Mr. Padode, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you what you make of the government's list of 20 smart cities, the first cut that's now been unveiled. And are you satisfied with the criteria that the government has chosen to arrive at this list? Because that is being questioned today.
So I think, although the minister did mention that there would be a lot of surprises, I would say that except for the fact that some states actually had no winners at all, and probably rightly so, given the fact that they must have put in the applications which did not match up to the requirements. The rest of the cities which have been selected seem to be the ones that were promising in any case. And I think the manner in which the government has gone about in terms of the selection process, with transparency, with timelines, I think is quite a satisfying and credible exercise that has been carried out, and it shows the commitment of the government for the Smart Cities mission.
So you refute the charge that the opposition is making that the selective selection has been applied by the government. But Mr. Padode, you said that there is no big surprise in this 20 shortlist or list that the government has arrived at. What about Bhubaneswar actually coming in right on top of that list?
I think every city has an economic rationale, and when you realize the economic rationale, so in case of Bhubaneswar, if it is tourism and the heritage part of the whole city, and they have evolved their plans accordingly in trying to build up the tourism population or facilitating tourism and the citizens of the city, and thereby growing the total economy of that city, then I think the whole alignment is proper, and I think it must have scored much more due to this alignment. Okay, so what are you picking up from various stakeholders, the private participants who are likely to sort of be party to the smart city mission, whether it's tech, IT or infrastructure players? What's the sense that you get from them on being able to contribute or participate in this process? Extremely enthusiastic. I find a lot of the IT sector, the technology solution providers, both Indian and international, I think they are trying to get into the whole base of the opportunity, trying to make themselves completely connected with this opportunity, and everybody believes that this opportunity is big, real big.